Oddities, late night movies with Rob and Zack. This is a podcast about cinematic oddities where we discuss any media that is too bizarre, abnormal, or off kilter for contemporary audiences. Occasionally these projects gel. Most times they crash hard into the realm of obscurity. Join us as we delve into the cult classic swamp. I'm Zack.
And I do not want to work at Home Depot. I had to go with that. The great Jon Lovitz and his great delivery of that line, which I cannot do justice to because I'm not Jon Lovitz, if anybody did not know. I had to go with that over I'm prairie dogging it. But at the same time, I wanted to say this exact sentence to get I'm prairie dogging it right here at the beginning of this episode. I want to kick things off with a bang. We are talking about probably the last part of the 2001 Fortyear that Rob has been really excited for, and it's a doozy. We are discussing Rat Race. I think, like I said, I want to kick it into high gear. Can I throw forward my contender for best joke in this movie? Because there's a lot of jokes. There's a lot of really funny things, and I might be giving my my love for this movie away. But near the beginning of the film, when our two brothers are introduced, Seth Green and Vince Valouf, I believe his name is, who should have been played by Ike Barinholtz, one of my biggest complaints of this movie. They are trying to scam a casino for insurance money by slipping, falling down, and suing them. Their plan goes wrong, and an old lady falls down an escalator. And after this lady reaches the bottom of the escalator and, you know, everybody kind of bystanders run up to say, "Oh my God, you know, are you okay?" A woman wearing an entirely red suit runs into frame and says, I'm a lawyer, Gloria Allred.
Excuse me, I'm a lawyer, Gloria Allred. What the hell happened here? Well, she slipped on that glass. Those arrogant jerks. They're gonna pay for this. They're gonna pay through the nose. How's your neck? I've never seen such negligence. This is going to be huge.
Her last name is Allred, and she's wearing all red. But now, that's not the best joke in the movie. That's the setup for my favorite joke in the movie. When Wayne Knight hits Rowan Atkinson with his ambulance, you get a cutaway to Gloria Allred going, "I just saw everything. I'll be down in a second." And Wayne Knight goes, "Gloria Allred."
Taxi! Taxi! Not good. Not good. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Oh.
Don't move. Stay there. I saw the whole thing. I'll be right down.
Oh, shit. Gloria Allred.
It might be the dopest joke in the history of humanity. I lose my mind every time I see that section of the movie where Wayne Knight knows who Gloria Allred is. Zack, would you like to just unabashedly agree, or do you have something to put forward as the best joke in Rat Race 2001?
The Gloria Allred joke is like, oh God, has she been relevant for the last decade?
No,
like,
no, not at all.
Like, that's what I mean, is that, like, that is such a specific, like, joke in time. And, like, the idea of dressing her in all red is kind of funny, too. Like, that's, like, it's a nice touch. But, like, that is such a joke of the, like, 90s and 2000s.
Well,
like,
I think
there's
that's
nobody in the last 10 years that'd be like, because Gloria Allred's almost like, oh God, like a hat. She's almost like Al Sharpton level.
Well, sure, but I think that's why I love it so much, is because it is so entrenched in the time, but also timeless, that you just have someone, like, even if you don't know who Gloria Allred is, her last name's Allred, she's wearing all red, somebody else knows her. Like there's both a timed and timelessness to that joke that makes it so immaculate to me.
Okay, fair, but I have to think. I think of her as the individual before just the visual gag of having her dressed to reflect her namesake. Fair, but I saw it more as a dated joke than anything else, which is kind of the I think Rob is not gonna like my opinion on this movie.
Oh,
I think
God. Oh, no. Well, before we get into that, I want to know, what do you think is you saw that as more timed than timeless? Do you have a contender for best joke in this movie?
Oh, God. Ironically or unironically?
Well, I don't know. You choose. Whichever one you think should be put forth to the cinema audience.
Okay.
To me, you know?
the cinema audience, indeed. Okay. The John Cleese stuff at the very beginning with him as Donald Sinclair and the reference to what his name is, which
Yes.
I find, which is like really like a deep cut John Cleese reference, which we'll get into in a moment. But that whole thing at the beginning where he's explaining to them like kind of the plot of the movie, that is amusing. And the fact that he just fires off a gun, I found amusing. Like, well, we'll get into context.
When you say go, what do you just mean go? And he's like, begin, commence. Oh Jesus! And he shoots the gun.
There are no rules. Go! Go!
So now, when you say go, you mean just go?
Begin, commence, start moving. Theoretically, you have been racing for about 40 seconds, and so far, Mr. Schaefer is winning because he's nearest to the door.
Race. John Cleese is wonderful in this movie.
he's yes. There's a lot of just like historical context to his relationship with this movie that has to be discussed. Like it's like one of 3 like ironclad pieces of like IMDb trivia that you can find anywhere regarding this movie. Unironically, he's probably my favorite part of the movie. Ironically, the fact that the movie ends in a Smash Mouth concert, like I literally just want to like, oh God, roundhouse kick the Blu-ray out of my house at that point.
Oh,
like, I knew...
it's so contrived and I love it.
Isn't it like really when you distill it, isn't it insane that there's 3 major Hollywood pictures that used All Star as like their theme?
Yeah, it's insane that that's the case, and it's insane that this is not the one it's remembered for.
But this is the thing, is that like, okay, this is the hit, and Rob's the music person. Like, Smash Mouth's All Star was written as like a promotional theme for Ben Stiller's Mystery Men in 1999.
And the music video, directed by our favorite What the Fuck is a McG, includes the actors from Mystery Men. That is a clear promotional tie-in. Absolutely.
Yes. Mystery Men is kind of a bomb, disappears off the face of the earth.
Yes.
This day is not like widely remembered. Occasionally it'll show up like during an anniversary of like a year it was released in.
Squeezes in as a niche cult classic, I'd say. Very niche cult classic.
I won't even go that far because nobody like when you think of Ben Stiller, like it's not even like Ben Stiller is Beat the Parents Man. Like when it comes to like mass audiences. Like Mystery Men, you'd be hard pressed to like I think we've talked about numerous times now, the idea that like how Evil Dead 2 is kind of like risen to the plateau beyond a cult classic where it's like something that like people know now, even if they've never seen it. Mystery Men, like God, like I won't even know, like, that is below cult classic.
I'm with you on that. That's why I'm saying niche. It's very obscure. Might be a better word. Absolutely.
I don't think. I think niche means it has an audience. Like obscure is in like you'd be hard pressed to find someone that knows what Mystery Men is.
Okay. No, that's actually a good point. When you phrase it that way, I'm thinking of you explain Mystery Men to somebody and they think of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That's exactly. It's weird. I would say League of Extraordinary Gentlemen has more. Oh God. Niche appeal than Mystery Men does.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I think in terms of, on this tangent of these movies, I think I like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen better for what I've told Zack before. It's like, yeah, let's team up a bunch of literary figures. You got the Bride of Dracula, the Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. A lot of famous characters. Who else do we throw in? Dorian Gray from The Picture of Dorian Gray. And guess what? He's the antagonist. It's one of the most wonderful decisions in movie-making history.
That's another Alan Moore, like, adaptation that, like, nobody really understood. Yep. And, like, yay, the kids think this is popular. Let's throw some money at it.
Absolutely.
But getting back to Smash Mouth, like, you have All-Star that's written for Mystery Men. Like, Shrek picks it up as like a needle drop.
Yes.
And that's how it's now remembered 20 years later, as we discussed earlier in the Fortyear. And then you have Rat Race, which was, oh God, a ripoff. Oh God,
Yeah,
is it a ripoff, an
2.5,
homage?
2 to 3 months after Shrek, right?
Yes, yeah. And it's like in like what? How would you describe Rat Race? Is an homage or a ripoff to It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World?
Well, I'm glad you bring this up. I was actually kind of hoping to discuss this with you. Something that I was thinking about when I rewatched Rat Race for this recording, which might be the 10 billionth time I've seen this movie. I've also seen It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Is this the first soft reboot?
No.
What is before this in terms of
Planet of
soft
the
reboot?
Apes. Do you want to make that argument?
We talked about that's a reimagining.
Yeah.
This is
okay,
what's the difference between a soft reboot and a reimagining?
That's a great question. We should ask Colin Trevorrow and J.J. Abrams that question.
Nice. I like that.
That's what I mean. Like soft reboot, like reimagining, like what is it at the end of the day? Like somebody please define the two, because I think you're splitting hairs after a while.
Sure.
No, this is. I would say this is a remake, if anything. It's a contemporary remake. If you really want to parse the true meaning of all these words,
a remake, a modern retelling. That's what I put in my notes because, Mad Mad, It's a Mad 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 World. I always have to make sure it's 4 Mads. That's 1963. That is a long time ago, So we're on the same level of that Planet of the Apes being brought back into the mainstream.
But in fact, you're not cashing in on like the clout of that name.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you're taking the premise and you're just kind of like doing your own thing with it.
Well, now you're making me think that maybe this movie should have been called It's a Rat Race.
God damn it, Rob. That's the director's cut. It's going to be called.
That's how the Baja Men sing the opening theme song. It's nothing but a fat rat race, rat race, rat race, rat race.
And the button, it says nothing. Life is nothing but a slap in the face. Life is nothing, it's a nothing. Life is nothing but a fat rat race. What is that? What is that? A rat race. A rat race. What is that? What is that? A rat race. A rat race. A rat race. A rat race.
Oh God, that's okay. We'll get to that too, because this movie does also things that I find egregious, and like maybe we don't like. Oh God, I know Rob and I have talked about it a lot. That like what happens in movies now, ever since Guardians of the Galaxy, is just like the needle drops to just kind of like drag people into the movie.
The useless and unimportant needle drops to put in the trailer to drag people into the movie. Of course, as both Zach and I know, Cruella is not at fault for this because it uses music in a very certain. Okay, I'm sorry. That'll be my one. That'll be my one for this episode. I had to throw it in there.
But that's the thing. It's like maybe James Gunn isn't as clever as we like to think he is, or maniacal, to each their own. Because oh God, but getting back to Smash Mouth. Is that it's just so like that ending, like I hate it. Like okay, this is how I describe Rob clearly likes this movie.
I would say unabashedly love this movie.
Fine.
It is wonderfully dumb. It is the incarnation of chaos. I consider this one of the movies that falls into the category of looking into the eyes of Satan, and that's a compliment. That is a compliment.
I think you're giving it too much credit with that sort of description. But this is how I would rate this when it comes to other cinemodities, things we've looked at, like from like yesteryear. So getting into context.
Okay.
I've been aware of this movie for 20 years. I've been aware of this movie ever since like the summer of 2001. I did not see it in theaters, but I'm pretty sure the moment like it hit home video, like on Blockbuster, I rented it. I pretty much like always remembered every plot beat from this movie. I have a feeling I rented it a lot in the early 2000s because I never owned a copy of this, but I kind of had every plot beat like burned into my memory because even like rewatching it for this recording, as Rob knows, as we've discussed off mic, I pre-ordered this back in like March. I got it in May. I deliberately held off like watching it because I wanted to like be like a pristine viewing in preparation for the Fortyear recording. And like, man, watching this movie, the best way to describe it it's like the equivalent of leaving a Capri Sun out in the sun for 20 years and then drinking it. And that's what it felt like to me. Like, is it the worst thing in the world? No, but it was not a pleasurable experience.
Oh, what are you talking about, Zach? This movie is so much fun. This movie is like, I feel like I'm somebody who has ADHD while I'm watching this movie.
No, like, okay, I'm glad you said that because like there is like this movie to me is in the same vein as when we discussed the Amanda Show, to the point where like I'm almost disgusted at my younger self for enjoying this.
Oh, that I know we agreed on our feelings with our hatred for the Amanda Show and how nonsensical and dumb it was. This is dumb in a different way, though. This is dumb in a chaotic, frantic way.
That's okay. Okay, I'm glad you said. Cause like I don't hate this movie. I don't hate it. I found it very unpleasant.
We're talking about Afro Horrors, right?
I don't know.
We both watched Afro Horrors 11 times for this recording.
I don't
right?
know about you. I watched about like 10 minutes of The Grinch, then switched over to the Afro Horse. But this is the thing, though.
One of the things.
Okay,
it says in the morning you watch The Grinch for 10 minutes and then switch back to Afro Horse.
Okay, but this is the thing where like I don't know if maybe I knew every single joke in this movie. Like going into it, like I knew where all the beats are. And part of that problem is that like if you go back and look at the trailer, which obviously is what hooked me on this movie 20 years ago, every good joke is in the trailer.
Well, I have to push back on that immediately because the trailer is not the full movie. What do you mean every good joke is in the trailer? Because
Afro Horse, John Cleese, like Rowan Atkinson, like you're the most the stuff that I appreciate.
The trailer is not 100 minutes long. I don't know what you're saying to me.
That's the best part, is the trailer is not 100 minutes long. No, like this is like every single character in this movie is either unabashedly unlikable or just boring.
Boring, I don't think I agree with. Unabashedly unlikable, that's kind of the point of the movie.
No, that's the thing. The only characters that are genuinely not, this is a double negative, but are not unlikable is Breckenmeyer and Rowan Atkinson, and they are boring characters. Like, poor Rowan Atkinson, you have Mr. Bean, and they literally do nothing with him. Like, they shot all of his scenes in the weekend.
Well, sure. I think he's the least utilized of our characters.
And there is no reason at all that any other character or any actor in this movie should be given more screen time than Rowan Atkinson. Maybe with the exception of Whoopi Goldberg.
Because
Whoopi is
bring
Whoopi.
Up a good Whoopi Goldberg, absolutely. And of course, we're coming on a
Breckenmeyer and Amy Smart. I'll give you one thing. Amy Smart trying to kill Dean Cain is pretty funny with the helicopter. Like,
oh my god, I love that scene.
Like as a piece of just like movie making, like the idea of having like a helicopter going down a residential street, like on a production level, I admire that. But it's something that's happening in a movie. I do not care what is happening in that sequence.
It's pure chaos.
It is pure chaos, and I'm glad you're acknowledging that. But like, there is so much in this movie like that just feels horribly disconnected from everything else going on. Like, this is a movie that like I don't know what the furthest extreme of ADD is, but this movie has it.
I that's where I disagree with you. Is that I don't think this movie feels disconnected. This movie is the ADHD chaotic, infernally frantic version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This is, everything that comes together.
That's too high of a compliment.
Okay. Well, everybody in the cinema audience, get ready. If you have not realized this already, Zach and I are about to have a over the internet fight.
This is okay, but on the scale of cinemodity. Cinebrawls. I don't know what we're gonna call this.
Cinebrawls is good.
Cinemata Brawl. This is on the lesser tier because like I do not care about this movie. I'm disappointed in that like I was so excited to rewatch this, and I'm just like,
I think that might push it up to a higher tier because I'm kind of shocked that you are so neutral on this because this is something that I feel is so... It gets such a reaction out of me. There's a reason that, like I said earlier, I've watched this for the 10 billionth time. I think I watch this movie once every, 8 months or something like that.
I That's the thing. This movie leaves me disappointed, if anything.
That's
like
crazy.
I said, Capri Sun left in the sun for 20 years. That's probably it reminds me of like I left something like a toy like in the dirt. I went back to it and I'm like, oh, it's like it's fine, like it's there, like it's sun bleached, like everything technically works. It's got some like sand in its joints. like it at its core it's there. But like beyond that, I'm like, I have no interest. Like I've grown beyond this.
Maybe here's a question. Something I wanted to get on the topic of in this discussion is, of course, we don't want to just fall into the trap. I think Zach and I both agree about talking about what we thought was funny, even though I wanted to kick this episode off with a bang. And the goddamn Wayne Knight acknowledging Gloria Allred is wonderfully fantastic to me. I think that there is a level of, in this movie and in more modern, TV shows that maybe Zach's not as familiar with, you're watching people be horrendously bad. You are watching them diving into the amoral compasses of their life. And I think that something that I really like about this movie is in conjunction, or maybe a sister pairing, with why I like the TV show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia so much. Zach, have you ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Like 10 plus years ago, and I gave up on that very, very early.
Okay, that might be a thing that, you and I, Zach, get into in the differences that we have. I want to watch people be unreconcilably evil. I love that. I love people
but
going...
That's, okay, I don't mind. That's the thing, though. I don't mind that. Like that's not my problem with this movie. I just think a lot of the jokes, like there's no breathing room for.
Well, no. That's fair. I don't think I'm talking about that specifically. I'm talking about that the base attraction to me in this movie is how you have the germ of you could get $2 million, and that's happens at the 12 or 13 minute mark. In that previous 13 to 15 minutes, all of our characters are established with a bad trait that they continually fall down the rabbit hole of achieving to get this $2 million. There's a great, I'm not saying this is a monkey bone that really fleshes out any great ideas, but there's great germs of ideas in Rat Race on a thematic level of the conceit of the movie being that randomly chosen humans will completely dive into the worst parts of their personality for money. And I really like that.
But that's the thing, though. So, I don't think it's their... you see all of their worst traits before the money plot is introduced.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That everybody has these terrible traits, and they get amplified over and over and over throughout the movie.
Are they, though?
Absolutely.
Because, okay, you have Seth Green and his brother, and they're more or less like this. As soon as we meet them, they're the same throughout the entire movie until everybody's weird change of heart, at the All-Star.
Okay, you bring up concert. Well, one, yes, you just brought up the weakest example of what I'm trying to say. I want to reiterate that I don't think this is a fully fleshed out thematic idea, a la Monkey Bone or anything like that. But you have the brothers, I don't know their names, I think Blaine and Slane or something like that. The brothers are con artists. They continue to be con artists until one of them falls in love because he saw boobs, and one of them is convinced by his brother that he saw boobs. And that's not the place to sit on this movie. I'm thinking more of the Lanai Chapman, Whoopi Goldberg's, long-lost daughter in this movie. She starts as the one who is very uptight and business-oriented and wants things done, and that's how she feels about this. She wants things done. You're thinking of Breckin Meyer, who wants, he's never broken a rule, but he wants that spice of life. That spice of life comes to him in grandiose ways when he meets up with Amy Smart, who's playing a character named Tracy Fawcett. Her last name is Fawcett. That's ridiculous to me. Those are the things about this movie, is that we follow so many characters that have these germs spread ever so slightly. Once again, don't get me wrong, Zach, I'm not saying this is a masterpiece, but they're spread ever so slightly throughout the 100 minutes of this movie.
Folks, be prepared for one of these Cinemodities discussions where Rob will go on a monologue for 5 minutes, and I'll be like, okay. because this is the worst type of movie. I'm indifferent toward it.
Have I ruined the podcast after telling you I liked Cruella? Are we still reeling over that?
No, the thing about Cruella is I think Cruella is everything that's wrong with filmmaking these days, because it's the big blockbuster machine. Just throw away. Yes. It's bloated. It's just it's nonsense. It's everything that's wrong with Hollywood. Cruella.
And of course, Zach is incorrect because Zach does not have the music industry knowledge that is needed to appreciate Cruella.
Rob is the Bigfoot hunter going into the woods, and every time he hears a twig snap, thinks it's Bigfoot. So like if he wants to see what he thinks is there, that's fine.
I like that analogy. I really like that analogy.
That's fine. If somebody genuinely enjoys something, I will never take it away from them. But it comes down to also you have to also call a spade a spade. Nobody making that movie at Disney, that was their intent. If they it goes back to my Rise of Skywalker like argument. Is that like most Star Wars fans will look at that movie as again, I acknowledge the Rise of Skywalker is objectively a subpar movie.
A car with square wheels, as we've talked about. Yeah.
Indeed. But subjectively, I think it's unintentionally brilliant in what I think it accomplishes unintentionally. And that is what it is. Cruella is Rob's Rise of Skywalker. And that's the thing, but like, or at least I feel passionate about like disseminating and like arguing over the merits of like contemporary cinema. I do not feel that sort of way about Rat Race. Rat Race is a movie nobody cares about. Regardless of what Rob or I says, nothing is going to move the dial on this.
I'm glad you related it back to Rat Race, which I want to get to. One before that, I think what you said should be my epitaph on my headstone. The carving on my headstone should be Cruella is Rob's Rise of Skywalker. But no, I mean I think that leads to the question is, do you think this germ of an idea that I presented about the diving into, distraught moral compass and the worst parts of personalities, do you think that's what Jerry Zucker in this movie was going for? Because I do.
I don't think so.
Well, do you think this was going to be just Zucker going off and saying, "Hey, goofy airplane"? Yes, of course, Zaz. We have Airplane, yes. Top Secret. I don't really like Airplane. I love Top Secret. That's one of the Cinemati's lost episodes that got cut because Zach and I had to discuss Tenet. But I honestly believe there's that certain level of care in this movie. Do you not?
I don't think so. I think let me rephrase this. I'm not saying this film was just kind of made like, oh God, like throwing a bowling ball down like the alley and just seeing like,
sure.
Let's see, and letting the bumpers guide it towards success. I don't think it's that bad. There's a level. No, I think there's a level of effort here. I don't think it's mindless, but I think there's just like too much of doing what's, again, it's like Gloria Allred. It's like, why is she here? Because it's like, oh, it's a funny gag. Okay. And I feel like that they let their thing of like funny gag kind of just dictate where things were going. It's like the bunch of Lucys going through the Lucille Ball convention.
Oh my God. You want to talk about the incarnation of chaos when the bus tips over and all the Lucys start crying? That is literally the moment where I'm like, this is it. This is the eyes of Satan.
I know. And that's the thing, is that like we're raw. Like I can appreciate the insanity of that, but like that, like a bunch of just random moments like that to me do not make an enjoyable experience.
That's kind of the big thing that we're talking about is maybe to get back at something that I haven't picked the scab of for a while. This comes across as a Kentucky Fried Movie and Amazon Women on the Moon. This is almost a sketch comedy film, save for the intro and the outro, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, I wouldn't. Rob and I, it's weird. It's oh God. Earlier today, I was thinking about like all the times that like Rob has like blindsided me with like his weird, just like gerrymandering of like where the genres of things come and fall. And it reminded me of what he did like very early on in the podcast history with Perfect Hair Forever. He's like, Zach, we're gonna do anime. I'm like, Rob, this is like Adult Swim nonsense. And he's like, yeah, I know, but like I kind of like lied to you so I could get what I wanted. I'm like, Rob,
Perfect Hair Forever is a parody of foreign anime. It was very important to fit into that series.
It's not anime though. It doesn't count. It should be going to parody series. That might
be a whole other discussion when we revisit Perfect Hair Forever. Tune in next week.
Oh jeez, I will not be involved in that discussion. But this is the
must
point.
Be high. I don't know how much Zach remembers from Perfect Hair Forever. I don't know why I make references of that to him.
But this is the point, though, is that with Rat Race, is that like, sure, you could say that like it has little vignettes, and that's the thing, but like that does not make a cohesive movie.
Well, no, you're
disconnected
not wrong.
vignettes do not make it, because like there's parts in this movie where like we'll jump around from character to character, and we'll just completely abandon certain characters for almost like a quarter to a third of the runtime.
No, we abandoned them for a good reason. The reason that we don't see Rowan Atkinson's character for so long is because he's just asleep. What do you want? Do you want to cut back to him asleep because he's narcoleptic? This is the thing that I see this as solid sketch comedy because it's more interlinked.
Oh my God. But okay, that is the lowest hanging fruit example of just abandoning characters. But there'll be parts with like Whoopi and her daughter that like we just will disappear from them for like 20 minutes.
Because they're driving. They're following driving directions.
Then guess what? Then you change the script to make it more interesting.
You don't need to change it to be more interesting when you have this many characters to deal with.
But that's the problem, though. They shouldn't have had this many characters. They should have condensed it from like a dozen to like 8.
Oh, no. No. Absolutely not. The reason that this movie works on the intro and the outro is because there's so many characters. For me, of course.
Absolutely not. I think that detracts from the overall, like...
cohesive
being a major, like, word when it comes to the problems of this movie.
Are you telling me that you don't love the fact that they deal with so many characters in such a way that it makes you forget what characters you're missing, and when they do a hard cut to Cuba Gooding Jr. walking around naked in the desert, it's not the funniest fucking thing? That's the glory of this movie, is that it makes you forget what you're missing. And when they cut back to it, you're enthralled in that idea.
Rob's like, the best part of this movie is about how lazy and disjointed it is. It's like, that's...
Lazy? No, I do not agree with you there. Disjointed works to its advantage.
Rob's like, when you go to order like a Whopper and they forget to put like a patty, is a good thing because you're allergic to beef.
No. That's a different type of disjointed because you're looking for a full package when you get the Whopper. I take Rat Race as an experience, as like a haunted house ride. There'd be a different story.
Aren't you just happy you got a wrapper with a bun?
That's a bad analogy, Zach. I'm talking about the fact that what you're saying to me sounds like, oh, I went on an amusement park ride and I did the thing where I'm just stopped for 2 minutes. That's not what this movie is. This movie is a constant thrill ride. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, but like all the like little, it's like a roller coaster, but like the steepest incline is like 15 degrees.
That's another thing where I think we fundamentally disagree. I think this movie is the embodiment of chaos, like I've said, which makes me think we're going through loop-de-loops.
But that's the thing is that like it's just, I wouldn't mind the chaos if at least the characters were like, we had some like breathing room with the characters, but even when we do get those moments with them, it's not interesting. Like every character is just either awkward or just unamusing.
See, that's once again where we disagree. I don't think it's about the characters. I think it's about the caricature of the characters. There's a reason that,
But how do you do a character without like a baseline?
No, the baseline is one stroke, and that entire first 13 minutes is one stroke of every character. Jon Lovitz, family man that wants to gamble. Breckin Meyer having problems with his friends, not breaking any rules. Cuba Gooding Jr. is the dolt. We have all these single strokes of the baseline. I'm not saying there's no baseline. I'm saying that the baseline is so sparse, and the movie is able to play with them in a way that makes the comedy thrive.
But that's the thing, though, is like there's so much like wasted opportunity, though. Like one thing in a movie like this is watching them kind of like the different, what would you want to call them, contestants, like interact with each other, trying to like the hijinks that ensue from them sitting there like trying to like pass each other. And we don't even get that in this movie. Like the only moment we really get where like the contestants like intermingle is where Seth Green and his brother pull the brake line or just like
sure.
Of Jon Lovitz. And that's the thing too, is that like we have all these little kind of just vignettes of these misadventures happening, and wouldn't it be much more interesting if we had them interlink with each other?
Well, okay, you're not wrong there. One of my legitimate notes is that this movie should rely more on a Rube Goldberg approach to these characters interacting with each other. Like, I love the scene when, Breckin Meyer and Amy Smart are siphoning the gas from the cops, and they don't get caught because the brothers are speeding down the highway. Like, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s buses crash because of the cow hitting the front windshield because of the brothers, interaction with that. I agree with you. The movie should rely more on that. And that's why this movie isn't like a 5 out of 5. It's more of a 4 out of 5 for me. So I'm with you there. I guess I will concede
I would
to
say
that.
more like 4 out of 10.
Oh, no.
Or out of 20.
No.
4 out. I can make it 50, Rob. I can make it 4 out of 50.
Oh, who's this? I'm Gloria Allred. I saw everything that happened. Rob, you can sue Zack.
Okay, one question I've always had for 20 years now, and I want you to answer it for me.
Okay.
When Cuba Gooding Jr. is driving the Lucille Ball bus,
Wonderful.
and the cow hits the windshield, does the cow talk?
No, I don't think so.
Why is it then that when the cow, this is both in the trailer and the movie, the cow hits the windshield, they all scream inside the bus, then the cow's mouth opens and you hear, "Oh my God, help me, please."
Well, isn't it the dude, the handyman, the key duplicator?
We do not see him at all during those
Well,
scenes.
no, we don't
like
see
those
him.
shots.
But I'm thinking of, there's a later scene when, we get like a car going down a road and we see the balloon in the background and we hear the same guy going, "Hold on, help, stop me."
All I'm saying is the cow's mouth opens and shuts.
Yeah, because it just hit a fucking glass window. It's a cow, Zach. What do you want? A cow to just be like not talk, speak, not make noise? What are you talking about?
I like how Rob acknowledged. Okay, you know what, Rob? Rob acknowledged. You just don't want the cow to speak, and Rob's like, "Oh, you don't want the cow making noise?"
I tried to double back on that. I don't even think I can, in good graces, edit that out. But
Rob subconsciously acknowledged that the cow talks. I will give that as a point to. As a point to the movie's benefit.
Jesus Christ, you're right, Zach.
There's a cow that talks in the movie, which is inexplicable, but somehow not the strangest thing that happens.
Well, here's the thing. If you wanna harp on this, how does that cow talking not make you think this is a masterpiece like the goddamn indoor raptor smiling in the fucking Jurassic Park Dino-Loo? What the hell we call that?
Because one of these is a $1 billion franchise, the other is not.
You and your money.
It's scale. It's scale, Rob. It's scale. Also, can we please talk about the fact that like the grand prize in this is $2 million, which seems like such a small amount for a prize. Like, don't get me wrong. If someone were to hand me $2 million, I'd be ecstatic. But at the same time, dude, like $2 million isn't much of like a grand prize, even in 2001.
It's enough to buy a dinosaur.
It is indeed enough to buy a dinosaur. But I like how and this is another thing in the movie that just drove me nuts. At the end of the movie, they're like, "Oh, we decide to split the money." It's like 12 ways. That comes out to like $100,000 like for each of you. That is like no, like someone's dying. Like when it comes to get to the locker, someone's gonna get shot or shanked. Well, somebody has a gun at that point.
The ending
Seth Green's gonna shoot somebody.
The ending is very contrived. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denying that.
I have a question. Speaking of the ending, what is your opinion on the fact that like it's the bus / hot air balloon crashes into like what at the moment like before we know what it actually is. Like this empty space.
It's hanging over this empty space. They're all jumping at it. They pull it down. They grab bundles of cash. It's revealed that it's the feed the earth, Smash Mouth benefit concert, that type of thing.
With thousands of people that just inexplicably were sitting in the dark and silent, waiting for the lights to come on to.
I'm kind of fine with that in the sense that I've been to many concerts and there's a small window. I'm not saying this is perfect. There's a small window when the lights go down. You're waiting for people to get on stage. There's a very small window. I take it to be in that window.
Okay. Rob is doing mental gymnastics to try to explain the delinquencies in this film.
You're not wrong. I am doing mental gymnastics, but I have to say, if we're talking about the ending, like I said, contrived. John Cleese getting his comeuppance, as Sinclair, and
but that's the thing. But even going to the ending though, with like John Sinclair, Don, whatever his name is that it's like Sinclair isn't a villain. He's just he's like the MacGuffin of the film.
Are you kidding me? He's not a villain?
No, he's the one who sets this all in motion. But he's not
eccentric tycoon that wants to fucking bet on anything. He wants to see how much does a prostitute cost to do the craziest thing. There's a scene when
That's funny, actually.
him and his high rollers are betting on how long a maid can hang on to the drapes. Like, there's a deleted scene where they're playing Monopoly with real money. Are you fucking crazy? He's not a villain? He's the most capitalistic villain that's ever existed.
No. I find that terminology very problematic on a personal level, but we'll get to that in due time. When Rob comes to New York, there'll be a very lengthy conversation about him, that statement. I find that highly disconcerting.
It's going to be in front of my parents, too.
I know. Considering that Rob is so proud of the fact that the money, like the podcast is like making money now, I find that very hypocritical on top of being problematic.
Well, because we release good content, we don't belittle people for the benefit of the rich.
Rob's like, we're gonna play Monopoly, but with pennies and dimes.
Well, I kind of do like
with all the Cinemodities Patreon cash.
I kind of do enjoy that idea. I wouldn't want to do Monopoly though. I think I'd want to do something ridiculous like Trouble.
But anyway, though, when it comes to villainous characters in this movie, I would say that like John Cleese's Sinclair is toward the like lesser bottom of that scale. Well, like Amy Smart tries to murder people.
What are you saying? Do you want to compare? Are we talking about this movie, or are you talking about the Fortyear? Like, you want to compare fucking John Cleese to like Hannibal, or you want to compare him to Anaxunamun or something like that?
I love that you went immediately not to Imhotep, but to Anaxunamun.
Well, we know Anaxunamun's the real villain of that movie when she runs away from Imhotep. She's the villain. Anaxunamun.
Just scream that at people.
Anaxunamun! Savoy! Savoy! No! Anaxunamun! Anaxunamun!
Oh God, no! But like when it comes to just Rat Race, like I would say Sinclair is one of the like, oh God, if you have your like D&D level like, oh God, like metric of like what you're allowed to have, it's like what he'd be like neutral good.
No,
like
he's chaotic evil.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
no, he's not.
Maybe he might be neutral evil more than chaotic evil. The whole point is to play with the emotions of pawns that he sees as humans for making money. That's evil.
But he's not outwardly malicious or malevolent.
Are you what?
His intent is not to cause harm. It's for amusement, not for evil. He's doing I will concede that it's more like, what would you call it? Chaotic neutral. I will concede that.
Fair.
But like I'd say the majority of the characters in this film do much more malicious things than what he does.
It's
like
for
Amy Smart
his
tries
own
to murder
gain
people
rather than to hurt other people.
Amy Smart tries to murder people. John Lovitz drugs his wife and kids.
One of the best scenes in the movie.
Shit outside of a window.
Drink up, Zach. How about this? How about actually Seth at this point in the conversation,
Zach,
I bought you a milkshake.
His brother
drink it up.
Are responsible for the like injuring of a woman with a shot glass because they're trying to milk a casino out of money.
Also, they are committing a terrorist act when they try and pull down a radio tower.
Yes, like the only characters in this film that are like decent people are Breckenmeyer, Cuba Gooding Jr., and Rowan Atkinson, and that's it.
Well, Rowan Atkinson is an idiot. He's a bumbling fool. He's not a good person. He's a bumbling fool. I think Breckenmeyer, the whole point of his character is to relinquish himself to the danger of the world and the bad he can do. And Cuba Gooding Jr.
But Breckenmeyer doesn't do anything bad in the movie. He literally does nothing bad other than just like the cops are coming and it's guilt by association.
Now you're getting into the concept with Breckenmeyer, which I think is another interesting aspect of this movie. You're getting into the concept of if you stand by and let something evil happen, aren't you evil?
But that's the thing. He's guilt by association. That's it. Because when she gets out of the the helicopter, he can choose to stay there and say like, okay, as a witness to what happened. But then he kind of just like he becomes guilt by association.
Well,
but he's not
we also have to mention
for any of those decisions.
He's guilt by association because he is seduced by her and his own temptations, and that's evil. That's evil. That's one of the 7 deadly sins. Lust.
I again, fine, but at the same time, though, like there's also an argument made that like Amy Smart might be responsible for killing Dean Cain. Like I'm pretty sure she runs him
Amy
over.
Smart in that scene, like I said earlier, is the embodiment of chaos, and she literally probably ruins not just the pool and the house that they're around, Dean Cain and the girlfriend Charlene. She probably wrecked a lot of other people's property, which the movie does not focus on.
Speaking of property in that sequence, she goes like how that scene like begins. She goes, "Oh, we're gonna take a slight detour. I want to go visit my boyfriend at his house." Right?
Of course, yeah. Who wouldn't do that?
Okay, that's
Okay,
not the point of this.
okay.
But you acknowledge that. That's what she says, right?
I'm just saying, if I had a helicopter and I
Rob,
could fly it
shut
over
the
Zach's
fuck up
house,
and
I'd
just say
visit
yes
you.
or no.
I'm just trying to say I'd visit you, Zach. That's all I'm trying to say. Jesus.
Shut up and
I'm
say
trying
yes
to.
or
I'm
no.
trying to give a lighthearted moment to this episode. We're very
No, Rob.
contentious. I'd fly
Rob,
over your
yes or
house.
no?
I'd wave to you.
Say yes or no, Rob.
Yes, it's
Okay.
Not the best. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't say it's the best. I just want you to acknowledge it as a plot point, yes or no.
Yeah. Yes, it is a plot point. Zach, I'm just trying to
Okay.
make us fun.
Okay. But then what happens is that like she sees Dean Cain, her boyfriend, and some floozy in a pool, which they say is a jacuzzi, but it's a pool.
Charlene, yes. Well, she sees her
Char-
car first, and she freaks out
But
before seeing them together.
Okay. Whose car is it?
Charlene's.
Okay. Then after Dean Cain gets in the car and drives away, which makes no sense because then she says, "Oh, like I paid for this car."
Wait, what? No, they drive away in the truck. They drive away in Dean Cain's truck, which we learned she paid for.
Yeah, but isn't that supposed to be Charlene's car? Because she says, "Whose car is that?" That's his ex-girlfriend's
No.
car.
Charlene's car is the convertible.
There's only a blue truck in the. Why is he parking outside of his house?
But what? What are you saying? Dean Cain owns the truck. Charlene owns the convertible. There's two separate cars. There's two cars. Yeah.
I only saw the truck.
There's two fucking cars in that scene, Zach. That's why Amy
he parked
Smart
outside
freaks
the
out.
house then.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
I thought she says that it's her truck.
It is her truck that she paid for Dean Cain. The
it's-
car she freaks out about is in the driveway. It's the convertible.
There's a convert. I didn't know there was a convertible.
There's two cars in the scene, Zach. And you might ask, well, why is the truck on the street and the convertible in the driveway? Because if he's a philandering motherfucker, they're driving around in the convertible, probably making out and giving roadhead, and they're going to park in the driveway. There's two cars in that scene, Zach.
I was not aware of that.
Absolutely.
I thought she says, why is like her truck there?
No, she says that's Charlene's car. He told me she was his ex-girlfriend, and she freaks out.
I can't believe it. That son of a bitch. That's Charlene's car.
Charlene?
His ex-girlfriend or so, I thought.
Come on now, I'm sure there's a perfectly innocent explanation. She probably came by just to pick up some clothes or... Oh, nice and warm. Okay.
Did I come at a bad time, asshole? I'll ram this helicopter right down your throat!
Whoa, what are you doing?
Don't worry about me. My father's a Navy pilot. I've been flying since I was 15.
There are 100% two cars in that scene.
How do you know this? How do you know the pink convertible's her car?
Because we learn later that it's Dean Cain's truck, and he's like, get out of my truck. Because, Zach, if you're philandering around, do you want to fucking not have your hair down in a convertible? I mean, we've seen Spanglish, I think.
I have not seen Spanglish. Rob, I love the fact that we actually heard you slap your leg in frustration.
I'm glad that picked up on the mic.
I'm glad.
There's two cars. That scene makes perfect sense that she freaks out because the
fact
car
that I've
is
seen
in
this movie
her
for
driveway.
20 years. I've seen this for 20 years, and I was not able to pick that up means it's a detriment to the film. As someone who's able to quasi-understand Tenet, and the fact that this confused me is a detriment to the film. I am deducting 20 points from it.
I can't even argue with that, Zach, because like I said, I've seen this movie hundreds of times, and I have no memory of my initial response to that scene other than it is the embodiment of chaos. But there are 2 cars in that scene, and she's freaking about the convertible 100%.
Fair, fine, or not fair? Fine.
I like that. Fine.
A different F word. Not the ideal F word that I'm thinking about when it comes to this movie, but
I always love it whenever either of us get the chance to say, "You're right, but I don't like it."
I don't know if I go that far, but it's kind of like no contest. That's kind of like,
okay.
I'm not contesting Rob's explanation of it.
That was hot. That was a hot take from both of us, Zach. I just want to relate the fact
May I say this is not a good movie, and I do not advise people watch it.
It's a great movie, and I think everybody should watch it.
No, there are other movies. Go watch It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World. Like you appreciate. You know what? Instead of even do that, just listen to the song at the end of Donnie Darko. Just listen to that. You'll be fine.
I guess a question for you, Zach, is have you ever seen, not specifically, in preparation for this recording, have you ever seen It's a Mad, 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 Mad World?
No, but I imagine that it is objectively better than this. Or go watch Around the World in 80 Days. Like that is also a decent enough substitute.
Sure.
Not the Jackie Chan movie. Not the Jackie Chan movie.
The original. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Isn't it interesting that these movies kind of died out after the while? These kind of like, what would you call it? Like quest, like what would you call it? Adventure movies?
Well, I'd say quest and adventure. Something I like to talk about, a lot in terms of video games and this type of thing is fetch quest. Like there's an item you need. We talked about it in terms of MacGuffins and things like that. I don't think the idea of fetching or questing for a MacGuffin died out. I think it died out in terms of grand cast, like this movie has.
Well, okay, but like clearly there's a very particular like mold that was set with It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World.
Oh, sure.
And then and you have movies like that. And then like you kind of like come to the very end of that in the early 2000s between this and Around the World in 80 Days.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting that like we don't do that anymore. Like think about it. Like if you want to make a movie in Hollywood and considering that like the mid-range like comedy doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But just like, do you like Chris Pratt, Aubrey Plaza, oh God, Will Ferrell. Who else could you sit there?
No, I know what you're saying, but I don't even think that can exist because all of these stars want to be the leads. They want to drive a picture, And I think a best example is the time of this recording. We have that stupid, most streamed movie in America, The Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt, and I don't think any of them would give themselves over to an ensemble anymore. I think the ensemble picture is dead.
I don't think of the ensemble's dead, but I think it in the vein of a comedy is dead.
Well, yeah,
ensemble movies still exist. I think in just this particular, like definitely in this sort of vein, they are.
Well, yes,
comedies also in general.
Comedy ensemble is relegated now to Adam Sandler and his friends make $50 million each, and the movie goes directly to Netflix, and it doesn't matter how many people watch it. The other ensemble movies that aren't comedies are laughed out of existence, like The Expendables and things like that. I honestly don't think this exists.
No, at least not. Like I said, not on a comedic or tongue-in-cheek level.
I don't know if on any level. What's the last ensemble movie we've ever gotten that wasn't a direct-to-Netflix comedy, Sandler thing, Happy Madison? What ensemble are we... When I say ensemble, I think it has to be more than 4 people. If you have a 2, 3, or 4, it's a 2 people is a two-hander. That happens. That's going to happen for the rest of existence. 3, you got maybe that tale of the third wheel type of thing coming into play. And then 4 becomes a couples comedy. Like, I'm thinking of Adam Sandler's the Young Missy and stuff like that. What more than that? I don't know if it exists. It hasn't existed since, the last Expendables?
Okay, when I think of like an ensemble piece, and this is not like specific to the genres of comedy, like you ever seen Margin Call or like The Big Short or stuff like that? Like
The
stuff
Big
where
Short. The Big Short I've seen. I don't know what was the first one you mentioned?
Margin Call. It's weird how these it's another 2008 financial crisis movie.
Margin Call?
Yeah, you never seen that? It has Kevin Spacey.
Are you saying Marwin Call but mispronouncing it?
Yes, Rob. I am saying Marwin Call.
No, I've never heard of Margin Call, but I have seen The Big Short.
With oh God, it has Kevin Spacey. It has Spock. Oh God, I can't think
New
of his
Spock
name.
or old Spock?
Zachary Levi. Zachary Quinto.
Zachary Quinto. New Spock. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh God, it has Demi Moore in it.
No,
It has,
I've never heard of
Paul
this.
Bettany.
I thought you were saying Marwin Call and mispronouncing it, and I was like, that's not an ensemble piece, Zach. That's about somebody who lives 30 minutes away from you. No, Big Short is a good example, but I think the problem with Big Short is that the ensemble is sparse. Where in these movies, like a Rat Race, like It's a Mad World, and the movies between those two, you have the characters working together the entire time. I think the problem...
that is very negligible in Rat Race, because they have very little interaction except for the beginning.
Well, when I say entire time, I mean the intercut and following these characters, it all comes together. Well, I think, we've litigated this in the last 30 minutes about how I think this movie is less disjointed than you do. But to me... The Big Short, we have our main players, Steve Carell as the I'm angry at, people charging these short, not short, but poor mortgage rates and things like that, And then we have Christian Bale being the autistic financier in the boardroom.
Rain Man.
Yeah, basically. And then everything else in the ensemble is just like a scene or two throughout. That I think The Big Short is more disjointed than this is.
Yeah, I wouldn't really argue with that. But I think it also goes down to intent. I think when a comedy of this scale, you expect more interaction amongst the characters
sure,
versus something like The Big Short.
Yeah,
where The Big Short is supposed to be telling different stories.
Like I said, I don't disagree. I would have loved more Rube Goldberg or characters' actions affect the other characters. I'm not disagreeing with you, but here we go again. Zach wants to talk about intent, and Rob just wants a funny fucking movie.
And I wouldn't mind that, except the fact that I don't find most of this funny.
It's the funniest. I'm laughing. This is legitimately one of the comedies which I've said to you and our cinema audience many times before. You're laughing so hard at one joke you miss the next three.
Can we please talk about the fact that that in this movie they have editing where a character will make a joke and then for the next 5 seconds there's silence because they're actually trying to pre-program in the laughing
the laugh break, absolutely. Well, that's a Zucker thing,
That's a couple times in this movie, that was embarrassing. I got cringed and I'm like, oh
it's
God.
It's embarrassing, but I can't say it's completely embarrassing because they paused for me. I'm the one laughing.
Rob's like, it's not embarrassing because I find it entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you bring that up because that's a Zucker thing, and like we've I think briefly mentioned, Jerry Zucker, One Third of Zaz. They do Airplane, Top Secret movies. I absolutely love that type of thing. They break off, they do their own stuff, and I think they never really got past who they were as a team. The two Zucker brothers and Abrahams. They go on and do their own things, and they do very different things. But I think when they go back to comedy without their team, they have some of those problems. And that might be what you're saying. One of those problems is that they kind of are trying to premeditate the highlights of their own comedy movies, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that.
One of the things, speaking of Jerry Zucker, he who directed this movie, he goes on to but previously he directed Ghost. The Patrick Swayze Demi Moore movie, one of my favorite facts of all time.
That's probably where Whoopi came from. In this movie.
Yeah, 100%. Because she, in 1990, for Ghost, she wins Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars. I'm pretty sure, Whoopi. And don't get me wrong, Ghost is not my favorite movie because it's really romantic, and I think Zach knows I don't really love the romance and stuff like that. But I have seen it, and Whoopi Goldberg's the best part of the movie because when you don't have Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, you have fucking Patrick Swayze holding Demi Moore sculpting the clay, the very famous scene,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I thought, Zach, honestly, we were going to come in and we were going to have another great Freddy Got Fingered discussion of how funny we find this movie.
Oh God, no.
I'm kind of shocked.
Close.
I'm kind of shocked.
Not even close.
I'm kind of shocked that you did not see this as a Satan's Eyes movie. Absolutely.
No, I found this as oh man, good old 8-year-old, 9-year-old me did not know any better. And like I said, this is in the same camp as it's not as abhorrent as the Amanda Show, but
yes.
It reminds me of how as a kid I loved Die Another Day, and I watched it as an adult, and I'm like, oh god.
Well,
I'm
if I could ask you, because I, as you might imagine, and our cinema audience might imagine, I could talk for hours about how funny I find these things. What did you find funny? Because I've realized through this conversation that you don't think this is a complete slog. There were jokes you liked. I would really love to hear what jokes you thoroughly enjoyed, or characters maybe, in this movie.
But that's the thing, though. Like the jokes, like this is okay. The best way to describe this movie,
Afro Horse.
Well, Afro Horse is amusing, but but the thing is that like the trailer like killed that for me. Cause like I'll never again like that's like this one of the moments like you'll always remember from this movie.
Okay.
It's the fact that like it is such a very specific moment that like it's kind of hard to forget it. So like the joke, you'll always remember that joke.
Speaking of that, because I'm not somebody who watches trailers in preparation for these recordings, and honestly, I know that I saw a lot of marketing for this movie back in 2001, early to mid 2001, whenever it came out, and that really drew me to this movie. I'm realizing now, after an hour of discussing this, I didn't give my context. I really was enthralled by the idea of this movie when I was younger. I don't think I saw it in theaters because I have absolutely no memory of that event. I think it was something similar to you, Zack, where I was catching it on home video or HBO or something like that. But the thing that I want to point out is that I was recently talking to someone. It was maybe a month ago, maybe a little longer at the time of when this gets released. And I was talking to somebody about Pootie Tang, because I had just watched that in preparation for our episode about Pootie Tang. And the person that I told this to was like, Pootie Tang? Like, that's the joke in Rat Race, that somebody watched Pootie Tang 10 times. And I was like, there's no fucking way that happened. Because these movies came out the same year, maybe a month and a half apart from each other. And this dude was convinced that it was Pootie Tang. This dude that I was talking to was convinced that Breckenmeyer at the start of this movie watched Pootie Tang 11 times. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not Pootie Tang. It's Afro Horse. And now cut to Zack going, Jesus Christ, why are you talking to me about this?
That'd be a fun tie-in, though.
One, yes, I agree with you. It would have been a fun tie-in, but how could that have happened? These movies are different studios. These movies are different actors. Pootie Tang, like I said, was 1.5 to 2 months prior to this. That would have been a last-minute shoo-in for instead of Afro Horror's Pootie Tang, right?
Pootie Tang. I have to admit, Pootie Tang is definitely more of the like staring into like Satan's eyes.
Can we please? Since Zack was not there for the Pootie Tang episode, which I, to this day, consider one of my great regrets of Cinemodities, that Zack had to miss that episode at the last moment. As wonderful as I think that episode is, and one of the most important episodes of Cinemodities, because if Zack does not know this, there is a legitimate hour where Ben and I discuss the sincere details of the Louis C.K. sex scandal. Can we please get Zack's thoughts on Pootie Tang in this episode? Please, Zack. Please. Can you just give us a taste?
Didn't I already say that? Like, it's like the equivalent of staring into, like, Satan's eyes.
I don't think on recording. You might have said it to me, but I want to get it in this episode.
Rob, okay, this is the third time I'm going to say this in the recording. Pootie Tang is the equivalent of staring into Satan's eyes. Like, it really is.
That's a soundbite. I was hoping you might give us more, Zack, a little bit of a tangent into Pootie Tang.
Like I said, it's without making that its own discussion. Pootie Tang is just like sheer insanity. Like Louis C.K. likes to jerk off in front of people. I can neither condone or condemn that sort of behavior.
Zack clearly has not listened to our Pootie Tang episode.
Like it's like okay, like I don't know. Pootie Tang is just insanity. I wish there was more. I wish like Louis C.K. wasn't canceled so we could get like, oh god, like an oral history on the production of that film. Like
once again, Zack has not listened to our Pootie Tang episode. Okay, Zack, I thought you might want to elaborate on some thoughts. Clearly you don't. You just keep saying Satan's eyes. But I don't think Pootie Tang is looking into Satan's eyes. As much as this movie is more like that.
No, this movie feels way too contrived for that sort of like label.
No. Contrived. I don't like that. I don't like that use of that word for this movie. No.
Okay,
no.
Okay. Let me go break out the thesaurus. How about like preordained?
The thesaurus won't help you on this if you're finding words that mean the same thing.
How about that? I'll take one. I'll take a word that's not as sharp. Preordained.
No, I don't like that.
All right. Well, you got to deal with it. I
know. I mean, we're at this point. See, I just thought, Zach, you might want an opportunity to give a little thoughts of Pootie Tang, because in the Pootie Tang episode, when I set up your thoughts, I had to put in Pootie Tang going,
Oh, Rob.
So this is one of the other things, I mean, which is why I kind of, I would have loved to have you on the Pootie Tang episode. This is another type of comedy, but it's a very different type of comedy. Pootie Tang is centric around a character. Rat Race is centered around an ensemble that relies heavily on sight gags.
But that's the thing, though. It's like Pootie Tang is avant-garde almost. How, inexplicable it is. This is like the template is there. Like there's nothing groundbreaking about this movie other than like a specific gag here or there.
I think that's where I disagree with you once again, is that the template is there, yes, but this movie relies on chaos, fracticness, and it's not just the ensemble, it's not just the joke, it is the feeling of this movie that really makes it work for me. The score,
an early 2000s comedy?
I mean, no, I think that this is not of an era of 2001. I think this has been done before, will be done after. But, one of the scenes to this point that I want to highlight is when our brothers, Vince Valouf and Seth Green, are trying to perform a terrorist act, as we know it today, on the airport. They want to pull down an airport tower, but everything goes wrong, and their car gets started to be pulled up by the side of a radio tower because the satellite dish is rotating, and we get a great comedic use of In the Hall of the Mountain King while that's going on.
Wait! Oh no! Shit! I can't! I know where to go! Please, get the gun! Get the gun! Oh no! Don't kill me!
I'm not saying this is new. This has been done before. It'll be done forever. I'll put it in my own goddamn movie, because if you use In the Hall of the Mountain King comedically correctly, it's a wonderful thing. But that's what I love about this movie. The dialogue is just them screaming at each other. The glory of that scene is them realizing the danger that they're in, if that makes sense.
Well, okay, like... The antics of it are amusing. The idea that, like, okay, they're trying to do this very, very specific illegal act.
Antics is a great word. Thank you. Antics.
And they get kind of like, what's the word? They get the rug pulled out from underneath them. And I love how the radar dish, just for some reason, just keeps doing 360s just for the sake of the gag of it winding their car up it. It's like, why is the radar dish like doing like numerous 360s? It's
because In the Hall, the Mountain King hasn't finished playing yet.
Exactly. Thank you. Once again, contrived being the key word here in this explanation. But no, like I said, like it's a fine gag, but like the moment it begins, where like we see like Seth Green like apply the brake and it doesn't like really do anything, where the joke is going to end 3 minutes later. That's what I mean, contrived. Like, I know,
Sure.
Okay, the moment the brake doesn't stop, I'm like, okay, I know it's going to happen.
Sure.
And that's the problem. So, like, everything is so telegraphed, and that's why I find so disappointing. That's why the jokes, like the Sinclair thing at the beginning, where he like just fire and he goes like begin, commence. like, and then he fires the gun, they all run out of the room. That's where that's funny, because like you have that just like you do the twist, and it's like not twist, but just like it's that nature of like any joke. It's like the punchline comes right before the audience figures it out. And that also goes back to Afro Horse and the Grinch, where you have that little twist that accentuates the humor of the scene. And that's my problem. Like you have like all these jokes where like, oh, we like everything is telegraphed so far in advance. Even we have like John Lovitz driving Hitler's car. It's like, oh, and it's just that like you have that thing like, oh, then he crashes into like a World War II like reunion thing.
A true Rube Goldberg series of events that gets him to that point. Yes.
Sure, but like it just goes on too long. All you need for him to do is just go up there, like the scene goes on too long. And that's my same complaint with a lot of gags in this movie.
I'm so glad you say that, because I think we are getting at, since we are in a podcast fight, as I might say, an internet fight, which we did not get with, Freddy Got Fingered, because we appreciate that movie. You are tying this back to what we discussed in our sketch comedy Fort month. You think the gag goes on too long. I want the gag to go on so long it starts to hurt you. And that's what this movie does. It's the setup, the event, and the payoff goes on so long that you're almost in a loss for feelings on the just deliriousness that the scenes create that makes me appreciate it. That World War II veteran scene, like I said, the Rube Goldberg series of events that gets John Lovitz with a burnt tongue, a Hitler mustache from Eva Braun's lipstick, just doing the Hitler salute, giving the middle finger to World War II veterans. That's the comedy I live for, man.
Fine. Again, this goes back to comedy being inherently subjective, so to each their own.
I know. This makes me think of the Whitest Kid You Know, R.C. Cola. I remember very specific. I'm like, Zack, this is one of my favorite sketches of all time.
Yes,
and you're
I know,
like,
Rob.
why? You're like, why? This goes on for 4 minutes too long, and the sketch is 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. And I'm like, because it draws it out. It makes you... This is why, we agreed on Key and Peele, that Key and Peele is fast-paced comedy that pushes things to the absurd, which I don't think either of us like, which it is very natural. It's like, oh, this just gets crazy at a certain point. I like pushing things to the extreme, the craziness, because you've drawn them out so long that you were forcing your audience to think about them. The R.C. Cola gag from Whitest Kids You Know, you get the pitch of the sketch 20 seconds in. The reason it's funny is because they hammer it down into your brain for 4 more minutes. And that's what this movie is. Every vignette goes on so long that it makes you start to think about how absurd it is without being truly absurd.
In the words of a famous writer, William Shatman once said, brevity is the soul of wit.
The antithesis to Rob's thesis of comedy?
More or less.
Brevity is the soul of death, maybe?
No, Rob. Rob, objectively speaking, you can do whatever you want, Rob, but objectively speaking, you're wrong. And that's fine. You're allowed to be wrong.
I love my comedy when it goes on too long. I love my comedy when it's drawn out, when it's painful, when you start to hear the live audience groan, you've known you've hit real comedy.
Patience.
Exactly. Oh, yes, Christopher Nolan's directed episode of Wonder Chosen, the Turnstiles episode. Patience. When you sat through that for 3 minutes and realize there's 15 minutes left in the episode, comedy gold.
Oh, God.
I'm not saying that I'm right or anything. I do want to make sure that everybody knows, I'm doing this out of an opinion-based type of thing. And this might be the best episode of the Fortyear because we have this difference of opinion.
No, it's not. The best episode of the Fortyear is the AI episode?
You literally took the words right out of my mouth. AI,
The AI episode, or, oh God, there's one other really good one that came out of the Fortyear so
fucking
far.
Monkey Bone. Don't at me.
No.
Oh my God.
Hannibal was good. Hannibal is another good one.
Well, okay, Hannibal was good because we also discussed one of the most important films of all time with it, you know? It's either AI, this, or Monkey Bone. Well, when I say this, I might be jumping the gun because I haven't edited
Spoiler
yet.
alert, every movie in the Fortyear is the most important film we've ever talked about in the Fortyear.
Oh, no.
The Fortyear is the most important thing that's ever happened on cinema.
Have you heard how drunk I am at the end of the Score episode? It's not the greatest.
It's all right. It's all right. No one's gonna make it to the end of that episode, so it doesn't really matter.
They're gonna hear me impersonate Edward Norton impersonating a mentally handicapped person and tune out. No, I think this is actually really fun because we have these disagreements about comedy, which I want to make sure everybody knows. I thought Zach and I were gonna gush over this movie. I'm shocked that this was not the case.
I am so glad I was able to veil my opinions on this.
When you told me you bought the Blu-ray and you weren't gonna watch the Blu-ray until we recorded, I was so excited that we were gonna get into this shit. And then Zach's like, "Listen, Rob, next time you come around to New York, it's gonna be close enough to your birthday, and I'm just gonna give you this Blu-ray." It's like what you did with the Inception shooting script. You're like, "I'm having a yard sale. You want this? Because I don't."
I forget when that happened. Oh God, that was what, like 2015?
That was a few years ago. The Inception shooting script. It was only last year when you gave me the 2 VHS cassette copy of
Whoa.
Meet Joe Black that I have no way to play.
I bought that specifically.
Oh no! That was
you.
that was a better, more sincere gift. Not that any. I'm also not saying any gift Zach gives me.
I spent a grand total of $2 at Goodwill for that, sir.
It's literally in one of my rooms in my apartment. I have so many things on display. I have the few action figures that I have. I have all my road signs, and somewhere up on a shelf is goddamn the Gremlins VHS and Meet Joe Black. and people see this and they go, "Hey, you like these movies?" And I go, "Yeah." And they're like, you watch them?" And I'm like, "Not on VHS."
Rob knows there's 2 very specific meanings to those movies because Meet Joe Black was split into a half recording or a half viewing experience technically. Yep. And when we did Gremlins 2, the new batch, Rob made a comment saying that my VHS copy was a physical cinematography.
Yeah. The closest thing that exists outside of the restaurant, because the restaurant is totally real.
100% factual.
The Cinemodities memorabilia is, in above my head right now, in the room above where I'm recording this. Absolutely. Yes. And it consists of Meet Joe Black on 2 VHSs, Gremlins 2, the new batch on VHS, and a Crazy City gift card.
Hey. It's not a gift card, Rob.
Oh, it's a point card?
It's a point card.
A-dog, A. Stepped on my sneakers.
There you go.
So, Zach, we've done a lot of philosophical debate about Rat Race. I don't know. Do you want to keep arguing about this? Was there more problems you had with this movie?
Okay, every character. Okay, I don't like any character. Okay.
Well, okay. I don't want to jump into the funny stuff.
Who is the most egregious character in this film to you?
What do you mean by egregious?
Offensive on any level.
Oh,
like on
Cuba
any
Gooding
level.
Jr.
Really?
Yeah. The scene when he has to get the bus driver's clothes is embarrassing. That stands out to me as the most egregious scene in the movie of her placenta, her labia, the amniotic fluid. What do you want my hat for? The vagina.
Oh, miss, you gotta help me. My wife, she's out back. She's having a baby.
She's having a what?
A baby.
She's having a baby?
And it's halfway out. Oh. I can see the head. Oh. Yeah. I need your jacket.
Why?
For her amniotic sac.
Oh.
Yeah, her amniotic fluid. It's all this gushing out.
Gushing?
The jacket. Oh. The jacket. Give me the jacket. And your pants.
My pants?
Your pants. Yeah, for her, her placenta, and her labia and cervical. Oh, God, the mucus gushing. It's gushing. It's just the whole. Oh, my quick, my pants. And hat.
My hat? Why? Why my hat?
For her vagina.
Like, that is embarrassing to watch, and I love it.
God damn it, Rob. God damn it, you're a monster.
I think, Cuba Gooding Jr., because what? He is the, he's
Oscar
the referee that made
Oscar winner.
Well, yes, absolutely. It's also kind of weird that we discussed him earlier in Pearl
Oscar
Harbor.
winners. This movie, this might be the most embarrassing.
Wait. It's Cuba, it's Whoopi, and
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates
Who
from
we
Misery.
who we haven't even talked about.
Oh, you should have bought a squirrel.
She also says the R word. Like, there is like, can we please talk about the fact that, like, once again, another hallmark of like the Fortyear is like transphobia. There's like learning disability phobia. Like, man, there's just like the early 2000s were very hostile to things that they didn't understand.
That's kind of the thing I wanted to tie into Cuba Gooding's performance. Cuba Gooding Jr. is the one in this movie that gets stuffed with the gay panic jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it happens twice.
Is it gay panic or is it transphobia?
Well, the first one, when he's at the bar and he's like, "Excuse me, miss, can I get a drink?" "Oh, I thought you were a woman." "I am a woman." Like, that I thought of that as gay panic. For the 2001s, I don't know if they had any other term for it. But when the other Lucy in the bus is a man, cross-dressing, he's like, "Ah!" Like, I took both of those in the same category of early 2001s gender-based jokes that don't land today. Even though I have to say, that Lucy being a man pays off fantastically, because when Cuba Gooding Jr. is freaking out after the bus is flipped over and he's taking off all his clothes and he's like, "This is not my shirt, this is not my jacket, these are not my pants," and it cuts to the Lucys and all of them are like, "Oh, what?" The one who we know is a man smiles.
And that would not be allowed today.
Nope, not at all. But I think it's only Cuba Gooding Jr. that gets those gay panic jokes. I think everybody else is straight, Breckenmeyer with the two if you count Lindbergh, that type of thing. The whole piercing scene with the brothers in the car, that type of thing. I think it's just Cuba, which is wild. And I think we should also say, just like in Pearl Harbor, isn't it kind of crazy that when all the Lucys are yelling at Cuba Gooding Jr., his first response is, "Check me out in Snow Dogs next year"?
You're just obsessed with that, aren't you?
It's the funniest career choice anybody's ever made, Zach. I'm sorry. I've also never seen Snow Dogs.
Oh, Rob, you jokester, you.
So I'm glad you bring that up. I think Cuba Gooding Jr. is the most embarrassing. Would you have a counterpoint, or would you agree?
I think it's Kathy Nanjiani. She's just I think every character revolving around John Lovitz's family is embarrassing.
I would agree with you. I don't know if I agree. Embarrassing. It's the worst part of the movie, the family aspect that he has tied down to.
Yeah, I agree.
I kind of like her. Of course, she's very famously the voice of Peggy on King of the Hill, which I have a very soft spot for. Breckenmeyer is also, John Redcord's son, or Dale Gribble's son, depending on how far you've gotten through King of the Hill. I dislike that aspect of the movie, but love what they do to them. The Barbie Hitler Museum is fucking hilarious to me. There's a puppet. There's a marionette in the background of a few scenes in that museum that's just one arm is going up and down on the marionette string that's giving the Hitler salute.
That is goofy. That's a good sight gag.
Oh, I mean, it might be the best sight gag in the movie. Most funny set gag in the movie, I might say. Everything about that, even the fact at the end when they start to leave the tour group and the tour guides are like, "Are you leaving?" And they're like, yeah, we have to leave to a baptism.
Okay, this is what I was trying to get at earlier.
For our Christian friends, not friends, family.
But this is the best way to describe my reaction to this movie. I don't hate this movie, but watching this movie used to reminded me of how my father used to watch The Simpsons when I had it on TV and he was just in the room for it.
Okay.
My father did not like The Simpsons, but he chuckled at some of the gags. And that is how I probably best, maybe I'm hypocritical, but that is the best way to describe this movie when it comes to me. Is that I overall do not like this movie, but I do chuckle at some of the gags.
Well, I mean, how can you not? One thing, disregarding our, disagreement about the hilarity of this movie, how can you not? I think that's one thing we can agree on. When you get somebody, 1/3 of Zaz, the original comedians in terms of, a huge influence to modern day comedy, modern day being both 2001 and today, maybe, a few generations removed. How can you not? I would be shocked if you said this movie was wholly unfunny. I would be shocked if anybody said this movie was wholly unfunny, right?
No, I agree. No, like I said, to go back to one of our favorite sayings, I wouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I think that's one of the reasons to talk about some of these comedies is the disagreement between, how we feel about these jokes. Like I said in the episode when we did Airplane, I got really lucky and I found LaShawn, turns out to be one of my best friends. LaShawn had never seen Airplane before, and that's why that conversation is worth having. I think this is kind of the thing where it might be more important to disagree about comedy than to hold it in high regard. I mean, that's kind of why, when we did Freddy Got Fingered, it made so much sense to be like, listen, this is an important cinematic feature that comes from a different universe, and it's also really funny. This is in a different category of, I think it's really funny, Zack might not find it really funny, and the disagreement on comedy is, I mean, may I be so bold, Zack, as to say you should revisit the sketch comedy Fort Month to understand why that was so important? The disagreement of comedy is the reason to discuss comedy.
That's fine. It just shouldn't last 8 weeks.
Wait till we get to the next sketch comedy Fort Month where I want to do Mr. Show again after having watched all the commentary episodes.
I still find it genuinely abhorrent that we did 8 episodes on sketch comedy and did not touch on Mad TV, Monty Python.
Monty Python needs its own series. I've said that.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
One episode would be more than enough for Monty Python.
Whole series, Monty Python. I'm
I
steadfast on
serious.
Mad TV, get you, but Kroll Show needs its own episode.
No. Oh, God, no.
Kids in the Hall needs its own episode.
Oh, no.
God damn it. This is the thing. Zach, this is why it needs these. We need the sketch comedy Fort Month. Zach and I disagree so vehemently on comedy that it makes it a good discussion. And that's one of the best things about the Fort Month is when we disagree on Whitest Kid You Know and Mr. Show, and then we get the trailing off of the Amanda Show when we go, oh my God, I want cancer in my brain more than to watch this show.
I find it fascinating that Rob says oh, this is important that we discuss this solely when it becomes something I'm frustrated by.
You're a good frustrated dude, That might be our odd couple sensation is I'm always very happy about the things we watch until it becomes egregious. And Zach's always Jesus Christ.
Zach does not like being frustrated. Rob's I like it when Zach is frustrated.
Yeah, I think it makes for a good dynamic. So, with that being said, unless you want to talk about any higher portions of this movie, I would like to mention a few things that I found funny. Is that okay, or do you have anything to...
Go for it, Rob. Just monologue for the next 10 minutes.
Just monologue, perfect. Okay.
I'm going to go wash my crotch.
Here's a question. You said it earlier. You talked about the fact that the most or the best moments of this movie were in the trailer. Like I said, I don't remember the trailer. I did not go watch it for any of the trailers for this recording. Was Rowan Atkinson singing Respect while Chain of Fools is playing on the radio in the trailer?
I don't think so.
No, because you can't put that in the trailer. And that's one of the fucking funniest moments of the movie.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. Respect, just a little bit, just a little bit.
When Rowan Atkinson and Wayne Knight are in the car, the ambulance van, or whatever you want to call it, the organ transplant van, on the radio, you clearly hear Aretha Franklin's Chain of Fools. The chorus. I'm talking on the radio, you hear chain, 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 that type of thing. And Rowan Atkinson is singing R-E-S-P-E-C-T. I don't know if there's anything funnier than that idea. I lose my mind every single time I see that. Rowan Atkinson singing the wrong song. just period, on the bare bones of this, somebody singing the wrong song to what's playing, isn't that comedy gold?
Sure.
Oh, God. How can you not agree with me, Zach? How can you not think that's the funniest fucking thing ever?
If it's not the funniest thing ever, because if it's something I can just see like in my average day-to-day life without even trying, it's not that funny.
That's what makes it funny, is that it's so common. It's so absurd yet so common.
What makes it so unique is that it's not unique.
Ah, God, you might just hit the nail on the head.
Rob's like, ubiquity is what makes it unique.
I love that joke. Something else that is absolutely crazy, very, very Zucker. I was about to say Zucker Brothers, but of course it's just Jerry Zucker. When, the "you should have bought a squirrel" scene happens, and Whoopi Goldberg and Lanai Chapman fall with their car off the cliff, a clean skeleton falls onto their windshield. Like, no rags of clothing, no organic tissue. This implies, how stupidly it might, that the body that falls onto their car has been there for over 70 years.
Oh, definitely.
Because, it takes so long for tissue to degrade. It takes so long for clothing to degrade. And just the joke of a fake skeleton is wonderful, but in a logical sense, it implies that Kathy Bates, the squirrel lady, has been sending people off a cliff for eternity. I know this is something that, when we talked about in preparation for this recording a few weeks back, "you should have bought a squirrel" was one of the quotes that you cited. Was that something that stuck out to you, Kathy Bates with the squirrel stuff?
Well, yeah, because that's like one of the it's goddamn Kathy Bates.
Well, sure. And the whole thing, like you said, I'm not a retard, but did you tell me the shortcut?
Exactly. And yes, no, Kathy Bates and the squirrel thing, but again, that was a huge trailer moment as well.
Ah, okay. I don't really love that moment. I think it's a good kind of detail in the arc of Whoopi Goldberg and Lanai Chapman. I like it better than Breaking the Speed of Sound car. I think that's, one of the more goofier aspects of this movie, which I also fucking love, don't get me wrong. But something I wanted to ask you about, actually, is something I mentioned earlier. The brother of Seth Green, the two brother characters. We have Seth Green, who's, I think, a wonderfully comedic actor. Even though I might not like him a lot on Family Guy, I think he's a really ingenious creative force behind, Robot Chicken, something that I really, really love, early seasons of. Do you agree with me that the brother of Seth Green, played in this movie by Vince Valouf, should have been played by Ike Barinholtz? And I think Zach knows who Ike Barinholtz, the Mad TV guy.
I know.
The angry boyfriend in our favorite episode of Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone, where he is pissed off at women because he's a man, of course. What do you think about that? I just wanted to pick your brain on that casting.
I would have preferred Ike Barinholtz because I'm aware of him, from his other pre-existing stuff. The other guy kind of doesn't do anything other than just yell unintelligibly into the camera.
Yeah, unintelligibly is the best way to put it, is because he gave himself a tongue piercing.
Oh yeah. So no, I really haven't gotten a good feel of him. So it's not really fair, maybe. But I guess I'm predisposed to like Ike Barinholtz.
Well, Ike Barinholtz, I think, would have carried this role better because he is so established and because he has a more goofy quality about him. And I think that's something that we said, when both Zach and I watched the Vera Farmiga's sister episode of The Twilight Zone. Is it Sarah Farmiga?
God. The Thaisa? Is that who it is?
No, it's not. There's no way it's Thaisa.
It's just a weird name. I don't know.
I think it's maybe Tessa Farmiga?
It doesn't matter.
I'll put in the after show notes
it
correction
doesn't,
type of thing.
It doesn't goddamn
matter,
Rob.
I think it does matter because both the Farmiga sisters are wildly attractive, and I love them.
One's 50, the other one's 12. It's the weirdest.
And they're both wildly attractive.
If you have a thing for grannies and underage girls at the same time, maybe.
Don't blow up my spot, Zach.
Don't be stealing my thunder.
I know that when we watched that episode episode, when I watched that episode, I sent it to Zach and I said, you need to watch this. The thing that we both agreed on, or two things we both agreed on, one was, oh my god, this might be the most offensive thing we've ever seen about rape culture. And two was, Ike Barinholtz is wonderfully acting in this movie. And I would have loved to see him in this role of goofiness, because I don't think we see him as goofy from this movie until The Twilight Zone with Jordan Peele, right?
I guess, but I'm not. To be fair, I do not know his history.
Well, the big kind of stepping stone, I think we both know. He's the main guard of the Suicide Squad in Suicide Squad. He's the one who has to yell at Will Smith. You know?
Sure, and he gets yelled at by he gets threatened by Jared Leto.
Yes, and he's not good in that movie because no one's good in that movie. But I would have loved to see Ike Barinholtz in Mad TV mode at this time of year, filming in 2000, coming out in 2001. I would have loved to see this character played by Ike Barinholtz where he's owning that, infected tongue type of affectation, speech, all that stuff.
Rob, Ike Barinholtz should play Mongoose in The Suicide Squad.
When you say Mongoose, do you mean the animated character?
Yes.
Because that's Weasel.
I don't know. It's a mongoose.
We went over this last week, Zach. You made me think of this. You made me Google it. I yelped into the microphone when I said this is horrifying.
Will this episode be out by the time that movie comes out?
This is mid-August, I believe.
That movie will be out by this time.
Okay, yeah. I don't know much about any comic book movie.
Now, considering that Black Widow is out, can we finally tell the audience? Did we ever tell the audience what we want to do for Black Widow a year and a half ago?
No, we never did. Is this kind of you conceding that we won't do it because I really don't want to do it?
The plan, okay, I'm glad Rob finally tipped his hand. What was it God, this is right after the Fortyear. Weren't we gonna, after we figured out that Scarlett Johansson was dead, we were gonna go find another spy female movie.
The way you phrased that was amazing. So Scarlett Johansson, she's dead. Everybody in the audience goes, oh, I hope not. When are we gonna get Ghost in the Shell 2?
I still like that. After Infinity War, before Endgame, they had all these posters for the characters that turned into dust, and it was Avenge the Fallen, and one of them was Iron Man 2 Scarlett Johansson before she got a breast reduction surgery. It was Avenge the Fallen.
Can we do a quick tangent? Do you know, Zach, what I think the best Scarlett Johansson performance is?
Ghost World?
Oh, no. Don John.
Oh, God, that's not even a performance, it's a caricature.
Oh, nope. She's great. She's fucking great. That scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like, hey, well, you're checking out these sheets. I want to go buy a Swiffer. And she's like, what the fuck is a Swiffer? And she's like, it's a mop. I can mop my apartment. And she goes, don't you I'll get the maid to do that. Don't mop your own apartment. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt's like, I like cleaning my own stuff.
Listen, you decide what color. I'm going to meet you at the registers. Just want to pick up a few things in cleaning products, okay?
What? Where you going?
What?
Where you going?
Nah, I'm almost out of Swiffer pads. I'm just going to pick a few up.
What pads? What?
With a Swiffer.
I don't know what that is.
You're on a Swiffer?
What is that?
Seriously?
No.
Oh, babe, it's the best. You got to try it. What do you do for your floors? You got those nice floors in your place. What do you, mop?
No.
What do you do?
I sweep it up with a broom.
No, I mean to really clean it.
I don't know. The housekeeper does it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Listen, I'll just be a second, okay?
No, but come here.
What?
You're not going to go buy a mop right now. It's embarrassing, okay?
Oh, babe, I told you, it's not a mop. It's these pads.
I don't care. You shouldn't be doing your own housework anyway.
Why not?
Because you're a grown man. I mean, you shouldn't be cleaning your own floors.
Oh, I enjoy doing it.
Look, you know what? I'll call Rosa for you. She'll do your place.
Who?
Rosa, my cleaning lady. She's great.
Oh, babe, no. Thanks, but I like doing it myself.
What, you kidding me? Come on, you don't got to be doing that.
Nah, babe, she won't do it right anyway. You got to vacuum my carpet a certain way or else it looks
Don't talk about vacuuming in front of me. Come on.
Why? What's wrong?
Why? Because it's not sexy. That's why.
Babe, you're not listening to me. I like my place, okay? I'm proud of it. I like to take care of it.
I don't care. We're not having this discussion right now.
No, listen, there's only a few things I really care about.
We're not talking about this anymore.
She is so good in Don John. So good. That's that's like a Rob and Ben joint. Like, Rob and Ben really love Don John, and I know Zach is not that keen on it.
That'd be the first time anyone's ever said the words "love" and Don John.
It's a really kind of good movie. I kind of love it.
What the hell happened to you, man? Like,
oh my god, I fucking loved it 7 years ago. This is not new news.
God damn it, Rob. First
she's
Cruella,
great.
now
She
Don
is,
John.
She
God
is
damn
wonderful Scarlett Johansson is wonderful in Don John. Cruella is also great. But please continue, Zach, on whatever point you were trying to make that I don't remember.
We were gonna do We were gonna go find like a female spy movie, change all the names.
La Femme Nikita.
To Black Widow. Yeah, La Femme Nikita. It's gonna be one of those. And we were going to do that and just completely just talk about Black Widow, but just change the name. I talk about another movie, but change the names, have them fit Black Widow's character list. And that did not happen.
I was really on board with that idea in concept. And when
Probably
we got
on board
closer
with it in April
to it,
of 2020.
The work that would have to be put in would have been insane.
Yeah, pour one out for that idea.
But no, I'm glad that you mentioned that to our audience. Also, Don John. Pretty good.
Yes.
One of the other things that I wanted to mention, I think we mentioned it in the pre-recording. You talked about it a little bit with John Cleese's entrance in this movie and that stuff. Rowan Atkinson, his response to John Cleese talking about the end of the world repopulation thing. The way he says his line, and I'm going to do my best, of course I'll put the clip in to compare, a joke. He told a joke.
A joke. He made a joke.
The way Rowan Atkinson says that has always stuck with me. It's one of those Hudsucker proxy Tim Robbins going, "You're fired!"
I can't have every deadbeat on the Hudsucker payroll pestering me with their idiotic brainwaves.
Jeez, I'm sorry, buddy.
An example must be made.
What do you mean, buddy?
You're fired.
There's a cadence and technique to that vocal performance that always draws me in. And this is another one to add to the annals of the Cinemodities history. I think another thing I wanted to mention, which we haven't really talked about, Wayne Knight in this movie. Wayne Knight shows up for almost, 15 to 20% of it as the organ-toting delivery man, I guess. Can you answer me this, Zach? Something I was really wanting to pick your brain about, and I think I want to pick anybody's brain about. If you had the job of driving an organ somewhere, would you want to look at that organ?
Probably not, but I'm also not Wayne Knight.
I kind of agree with you that if I had the job to just drive an organ somewhere, I wouldn't be like, let me see that organ. I know what organs look like, I guess. They're just lumps of disgusting meat. That was very weird to me, and still to this day is very weird to me that Wayne Knight's like, we got a heart. You want to see it? And it's like, what state of arrested development are you in that you want to, show other people what your job is, I guess?
You probably read the thing too. They originally wanted what, oh God, what's his name?
Oh,
George
Jason
Costanza.
Alexander? Yeah. Jason Alexander was wanted for this role and denied it, and they got Wayne Knight. Yeah.
So I don't know. He just seems like he's doing the Newman thing. It just seems like Newman driving. That's I love Wayne Knight. I love his shtick, especially post Seinfeld. But he just feels like he's just playing Newman. And do they even say his character's name is Zack? Do they even say his name in the movie?
I don't think so. The only thing I remember about Wayne Knight's performance in this movie, which I very frequently quote when I am on car trips, I will say to people, "You know what you're hauling?" And they'll go, "What?" And I'll go, "We're hauling ass." And they'll be like, "Rob, are you okay right now? Should I drive?" And they go, "I'm hauling ass." Oh God, it's great. Two last things I think. One, this is the movie that taught me what narcolepsy is. When I was 9 years old in 2001, when I was watching this movie, I had somebody explain, probably one of my parents, to me what narcolepsy was, and that's why I know what it is. And the second thing, to ask you a question, Zach. In the final scene, the musical number where all of our cast members are on stage with Smash Mouth, and they are performing All Star, Is the implication that John Lovitz is playing Hitler's harmonica?
Yes, it is 100% that.
Hitler's harmonica.
Harmonica.
What a turn of phrase, if I might say.
It's certainly something, all right.
So, Zach, with that being said, is there anything else you wanted to touch on with Rat Race? I'm so glad that you picked it for the Fortyear. I'm so glad that I got to describe, I think, in a bulk of this episode, how much I love this movie, how important it is, and I think I'm going to gush about it when we get to our questions. But is there anything else?
As of right now, no.
Okay, well, then that brings us to our questions. And I'm going to go first. I'm going to do them both. It's not going to be a surprise. Cinemodities. Absolutely yes. This is a great example of what I call looking into the eyes of Satan. And any movie that fits that category is a cinemodity. And as well, late night, absolutely. You better believe that if you want to sit down with me and talk about, watch, discuss, feel, experience, be experienced by, Ludovico technique, anything like that, this is one of the top ones. I fucking love this movie. 2 questions, 3 questions. 1, do you know that I love this movie, Zach? 2 other questions, cinemodities and late night.
Oh, God, Rob. Cinemodity, that's going to be... Like, late night is a no.
Oh! No! No, Zach, I will not let you say that. You cannot say no to the late night for this. You cannot say no. God damn it, Jesus Christ. Okay, we're hitting this weird balance point of how honestly do I want to represent this podcast and how do I want to control the spreadsheet? Oh, Zach, I think that might be the thesis of the episode. I really want you to love this movie, Zach. I thought this was going to be one that we could band over and just feel okay with, and instead, Jesus Christ, when I'm out in New York this summer, you're going to make me watch Eraserhead. I want to watch Rat Race.
That is a disgusting thing you just said. Putting those movies on the same plane. Little as Rob know that Eraserhead might not happen. It's probably going to be more like Tammy and the T-Rex. He's got to watch.
Oh, well, okay. Well, now you're speaking my language with Tammy and the T-Rex. Hey, first billing, Paul Walker as a T-Rex. Tammy as, or Denise Richards as T-Rex girlfriend.
All right.
Okay. Let me. Yes.
For cinemodity, I'm gonna say yes, because enough weird is again. Yeah, cinemodity, yes.
It has to be. I mean, in all seriousness, with how much we disagree about this movie, it has to be a cinemodity. It's so off the wall, hectic, and insane, right?
Yeah, it's weird enough.
Okay. And you said no to late night, which is a travesty. With that out of the way, it's a travesty. We can talk about snacks. And this is one of the movies that I love so much. I'm writing down the jokes and all the things that I mentioned. I don't have a lot of snacks. I think the first thing that I want to mention is previously in our episodes, we have included classic gambling in the restaurant. We've included slots, blackjack tables, that type of stuff. As a quick pop quiz, do you remember what episode made us include gambling in the restaurant? What movie?
Gambling.
Of course, movie/episode.
Oh God, was it an episode I was involved with?
Yeah, you were here. Yep, it was this year.
Oh, the Fortyear?
No, earlier this year.
Oh, is it a Rob Weirdo one?
Yeah.
I
love making Zach guess these things.
Oh, it had to be Martin Brest.
It was Martin Brest. Okay, you've narrowed it down to the 3 that we did. Okay.
Okay. So it's gotta be what? Going in Style?
Going in Style. Perfect. When they, go to Las Vegas near the end of the second act, start of the third act of the movie, that is when we said we wanted to include classic gambling in the restaurant. But now, I want to extend, because of this movie, our restaurant, maybe we should open ourselves up to high roller gambling. And, of course, in this movie, we see a lot of great examples. You know, the premise of the movie, the maids hanging on the drapes, the hooker, how much will she charge for these things? I don't really have any specific idea of what we would do, but what I'm saying is we can probably do some pretty amoral, human rights violating things that we can get people to gamble about. What do you think? And specifically, we would do this based on people trapped in the restaurant.
Oh, God.
Is that a yes? I think I heard a yes. I think I heard a yes. Zach is on board with that. So we will start hosting high roller events in the restaurant as we think of them. Now, secondly, I think this is something we both agree on. We need, like capital N-E-E-D, need Kathy Bates selling squirrels in our restaurant. What do you think?
Not as a sideshow attraction?
No, I'm talking like on your way to the table. Like, I'm talking when, like, somebody comes into the front door of the restaurant and, you know, the host or hostess brings them or is on the way to bring them to their table. They get stopped by Kathy Bates and the squirrel thing and the nuts thing, and they need to buy a squirrel. What do you think?
Why not, Rob?
Okay. Zach is 100% exasperated at this point, but please, Zach, I have more snacks. I want to throw it over to you. What do you got for the restaurant?
We should have some version of, like, board games with, like, real money.
Ooh. Are there any board games you're thinking of specifically? What the fuck? Why did you just yell at me, Zach?
Oh, no, I had to call, I clear my throat.
No, I know. You just straight up off mic went, ugh! What the fuck was that? Are you that upset with me with this episode? This is like below average episode length. You know what? Zach, I'm sorry. Like, please. We love each other. We had a podcast fight. Oh my God, Zach, I'm hurt. Like, oh my God. Zach just yelled at me. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Everything since Cruella.
It legitimately did come across as your snacks?
It's not like, is there really any particularly good food in this?
Not a lot of food.
I guess a Pepto-Bismol, like, jacuzzi.
Oh, that's a good one. Pepto-Bismol jacuzzi, when he's asking. The great, of course, we should also mention the great, Dave Grisham, who shows up in this movie, and we get the wonderful line when, you know, John Cleese says, "This is my associate, Mr. Grisham, who is tragically born without a personality." I like that. I guess Pepto-Bismol. You ever use it? Is that a?
I think I was given Pepto-Bismol once as a child and I threw up.
Okay.
It did the exact opposite of its intended purpose.
I have never done Pepto-Bismol as far as I know. That's an interesting thing. What has this episode become that we're talking about if we've used Pepto-Bismol? Why'd you yell at me, Zach? I feel disjointed now. Oh God, Zach's mad at me.
Rob feels victimized.
Zach's mad at me. I think one of the other things I wanted to mention, of course, because of the brothers, why don't we do tongue piercings in the restaurant?
Ugh.
What do you mean, ugh?
Ugh.
Are you saying to us doing it, or to tongue piercings?
All the above.
No! Tongue piercings are fine. People get tongues pierced. What's wrong with that?
Fuck that shit.
If you want a stud in your tongue, so you can
Don't come to Cinemati's restaurant.
No, come to Cinemati's restaurant. We will stud your tongue so you can lick out the girl of your choice and give her that icy cold, disgusting feeling. I think that's fine.
That was the weirdest, like, anti-endorsement I've ever heard in my life.
I was doing a goof. I know you're not happy with me, Zach, but I was doing a goof. I had my licked by a.
Please stop. Please stop. Please stop.
Once.
Please stop.
I'm gonna
stop.
cut this
Please
out.
stop.
Don't worry,
Please
Zach.
stop.
I'm telling you
Please
this because
stop.
we're friends.
Bad touch.
It was bad. I did not like it. What else? You gotta have snacks, Zach. Come on, snack me up. You're the snack master.
What? Okay, what is it? Like drugging somebody's milkshake?
Okay, perfect. Sleep-X and milkshakes. Look at that, Zach.
That's
snack master.
a crime, though.
Is it? Well,
Mariska Hargitay is not going to approve.
Don't you dare come at me with the idea that things in our restaurant should not be included now because they're a crime. We are 3 years deep in the restaurant. The fucking restaurant is a crime. We're fucking killing people left and right, or taking pictures of them to turn them into food, and or trapping them forever. Why are you saying now that being a crime is a problem?
Because it's a realistic crime. It's not a cinematic. It's not a cinematic crime.
A cinematic.
It's not a crime-ommodity.
You just took the words out of my crime-ommodity. I think that's what I was about to say. The last snack that I had was not really a snack, but a hosting thing. The next, or one of the next, in the future of this release of this episode, we should host the I Love Lucy convention.
Oh, boy.
Because you better believe that in our restaurant, I want people to sit down and maybe, order onion rings or order something as an appetizer, and in the very far distance, they hear,
Oh, God.
Well, with that being said, Zach, do you have any other snacks? Anything for the restaurant?
Can we have like, oh God, what would you call it? Like, what's it called now? They have it like the rooms where you beat up things. Like it's the
the anger management rooms where you break them on your glasses. Yeah, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Can we have that, but have like those like karate like upper torso dummies? Not karate, but like self-defense dummies. But they're dressed up as like the members of Smash Mouth, and you just like beat them with like I don't know, like a bat or like a ball peen hammer or a 2x4 with a nail through it.
Mouth?
Because we have to kill All-Star Rob.
Well,
can we hire? Oh God, what's his name? Oh my God, I can't. Oh my God, what's his name?
Who are you thinking of?
Oh God,
the lead singer?
No, not from Smash Mouth. Our friend from House 2, the second story.
What? Bill Maher? What are you saying to me right now? Who do you want to beat up?
No. I won't beat up Smash Mouth, but that's tangentially related.
Okay, so you want to lay a roundhouse kick
Ham.
to...
His name is Ham from Toy Story. John Ratzenberger.
What the fuck? You gave me the worst fucking hints for that. I thought you were talking about Smash Mouth. I was like, Steve Harwell, Greg Camp, the members of Smash Mouth, and Zach's no.
I want to hire John Ratzenberger from House 2, the second story, to find out like the weird sort of like oh God, evil that Smash Mouth has done that's made them so pervasive in today's
Bill Maher.
I want to hire him to go and track down like I don't know, like cursed amulet that somehow gave Smash Mouth the power to endure.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The power to endure. I can tell you right now, the power to endure for Smash Mouth was fucking Shrek. And I agree with you. We should delete that from existence. I fucking agree with you.
Rob, we should make a movie where we take John Ratzenberger's character from House 2, second story, and we hire him to hunt down the Horcruxes of Shrek. And Smash Mouth All-Star is one of the Horcruxes.
Okay, you might have pitched the most amazing movie of all time.
What would be the Horcruxes of Shrek? It would be Smash Mouth
All-Star, Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Well, no. What is Jeffrey?
He's the producer. He's the K of DreamWorks SKG.
I know, but I don't think that he counts in that. I think we need things related to the movie.
Yes, he did.
Well, okay,
yes,
replace Katzenberg with Lithgow. That's what I'm thinking.
No, Katzenberg.
Okay, well then 4, add Lithgow.
Why? We're not just picking off random actors.
Well, what the fuck do you want from me?
Chris Farley.
No, Chris Farley. We've already defeated that Horcrux.
No, it's because he's dead doesn't mean his Horcrux isn't
Nature defeated that Horcrux.
No, Rob, cocaine defeated that Horcrux.
As I think our audience, real quick, should know, I think Zach and I both highly respect Chris Farley, and that joke was made in good taste.
If Harry Potter has taught us anything, just because somebody is dead doesn't mean that they're Horcruxes.
Oh my god, what have we become, Zach?
Is YouTube a Horcrux?
Oh, I don't think so, but I want to say yes because I would love to cancel YouTube.
Oh God,
you too good. We're too good, Zach. Even though I want to cancel you because you did not like Rat Race.
Is Cruella Horcrux? Can we kill that?
No, Cruella's a really good allegory for the punk rock in the music industry, and I think everybody should see it, even though it is 2 hours and 15 minutes long. With that being said, Zach, all that's out of the way, I think there's only one way to end this episode, the opening theme song, which is Rat Race by Baha Men in reverse. Are you in agreement?
Do you like it like this? I like it like that. I like it. You ever hear that Baha Men song? It plays over the opening credits of Big Fat Liar starring Frankie Muniz and Paul Giamatti.
Don't even start with another movie because we're done with this one. So, with that being said, I think the only other thing to say is the next time you hear Cinemodities, it's gonna be Ben Affleck's birthday. That is
And I will not be there.
Zach will not be there because
Spoiler
Rob and
alert.
Ben did it before he could even have a chance to be joined in. It's pretty quick. It's pretty short. We pay tribute to Ben Affleck's birthday, but after that, we are talking my favorite, Turn of the Screw. Zach's like, what the fuck, Rob? Stop talking about literature.
I can't read.
I just want to say, in preface for next week's episode, the main feed episode, Nicole Kidman, she's a hottie. I'm going to talk about that a lot. She's a hottie. Oh, I'm canceled. I objectified a woman. I'm done.
We did a really bad thing.
It's nothing but a fat rat race.
Oh, God.
Sierra.